Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Yuri MASLOV from Belarusian State Economic University. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present our material and to share some of our teaching experiences. The report in question is entitled Communicative Course Design at Non-Linguistic University, Student Perspective on Just One Technique. It is part of our work at Belarusian State Economic University, which actually deals with the School of International Business Communication, which is part of the university structure. The student audience is students studying languages and preparing to receive a bachelor's degree in linguistic support of international business communication. Their qualification, their would-be qualification is a translator or interpreter, and they normally study for 4.5 years, that is 9 semesters. They are students who are actually well prepared at the beginning of their university years, and they study a variety of different courses: linguistics, culture, semiotics of culture, translation studies of various sorts, and they also receive some basics of economics. Their first language is English, and they also have a plethora of choice in choosing their second language. It can be Spanish or German or French or Portuguese, or even as exotic as Chinese. They also have ample practice, practical experiences at various enterprises where they have their translation internships. What we are going to talk about today is just one subject, which is entitled Practicum in Intercultural Communication. This subject belongs to the 7th semester curriculum, which is actually taking place right now for the students of the 4th year at this School of International Business Communication. The course lasts just one semester. It is 60 academic hours, and we are going to talk about several aspects of this course. In the first place, I'd like to talk about course design approach. What we have prepared for this course is a kind of a textbook, which is now in the process of experimental evaluation. Every piece of material is actually according to the material of one class, and each class material is divided into 4 distinct categories, kind of levels. Level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And each level actually takes about 1 page of this would-be textbook. Level 1 is the so-called recognition or retrieval, which is actually the moment when the students are supposed to get some orientation in the material. For example, on this slide, you can see a visual. This very page contains a variety of different visuals, be it pictures or tables or anything else. This one here actually is a photograph which makes student think about its message, and finally it's supposed to produce the conclusion that this is one of the visual interpretations of the idea of communication barriers that always exist in communication. The next page normally takes some information from various sources, which is purely scientific. For example, these 4 photographs, these are the photographs of scientists whose work is quoted, is presented on page 2 in various classes. For example, Abraham Maslow, picture 1, then Calera Oberg, picture 2, Samuel Huntington, picture 3, and Roman Jacobson, picture 4. So all these scholars contributed a lot to the various aspects of the theory of intercultural communication. And that's why these names, and not just names, but the work of these scientists is very important to familiarize with. And then we go on to level 3, which is page 3, which is something which is kind of an interpretative way of looking at the same things. And normally it is about reproducing what other people, famous speakers, for example, here we've got 4 photographs of distinguished speakers. All of them gave various types of TED Talks at different platforms. And all 4 are well known online. And they all talked about various aspects of intercultural communication, and extracts from the talks the students were exposed to during class, and they reproduced those ideas, they discussed those ideas, they expressed various opinions based on these ideas, and so on. And then there comes level 4, which is page 4, which is about transfer of skills, because this page always contains all kinds of exercises which are supposed to be conducted in small groups or pairs. It is all sorts of simulations and things. And on this page, we've got exercises which are obviously connected with the experiences of the students themselves. For example, one of the classes carries this photograph, and this photograph is the one taken in a museum located in the Republic of Belarus. It is the museum dedicated to the creative legacy of one of the most celebrated artists born in Belarus in the 19th century. His name is Mark Chagall. That's why a course design approach is based on solid pedagogical principles, and it actually contains a variety of exercises, and all these exercises are structured and presented in a kind of a sequential manner, which actually can be stimulating high-order thinking skills of the students. But the central question in such a course is not exactly the content itself or the entire design of the course. One of the stumbling blocks in such educational settings is how to help students become more communicative, how to help students become better contributors in terms of their communication contributions, of course. And this is something we thought about, and we decided to experiment with one simple technique. This technique is presented here on the slide, and this information is below. So basically, these are the chips, just like in a casino, if you like. And in the classroom, the students are given such chips, and these chips are supposed to encourage them to speak. They receive these tokens whenever they initiate an answer to a question. And these questions obviously come either from the instructor himself or herself, or these questions are contained in the legends of the exercises. So during one class, each and every student accumulates a certain number of chips because he or she has made certain answers to questions. And later, somewhere in the middle of the semester, for example, these chips may be converted into solid grades on the scale of 1 to 10, which is a standard scale, assessment scale in this country. But while doing this, while introducing this system in the classroom, I, as a teacher, I had a strong feeling that not every student was particularly happy about this assessment technique. That's why in the middle of the grade, 2 months later, we decided to conduct a kind of a discussion which was based on two questions. Question one was whether this system really is advantageous, and the question two was what the disadvantages of the systems are, if any. And this is one little episode of this discussion, and let's listen to something now. So thank you very much for being here, dear students. I decided to actually create a kind of a focus group, and thanks for your participation. I would like to ask you just one simple question. It's about chips, the system of giving chips in the classroom. And what I would like to understand is whether this technique of student assessment, student performance assessment, really works. So do you find it effective? And if yes, well, could you please share some ideas on why it is effective? You're welcome. Thank you.
So I want to start, if you don't mind. So at the very beginning, I wasn't sure whether the system works for me or not, because at the very beginning, I wasn't very active during classes. I didn't, although I had something to talk about, I didn't want to share it. I don't know why, but with time, I realized that this chip system really works for me as a motivation, as a incentive. And I wanted to talk, I wanted to share my personal experience. I wanted to gain these chips, and this kind of game effect worked on me. Yes, and I wanted to get more and more and more, and to just, I wanted to get more and wanted to participate more. And as a result, I can say that these 3 months of the system were really good for my experience, for my practice in speaking, because I see that I become more fluent, that I started to talk more. I started to just be more active during classes, and I'm not shy. I'm not afraid of sharing my personal experience anymore, and I really like it. So for me, it really works, and I like this system really.
The chips for this contribution. All right, anybody else?
Well, for example, when this system was introduced, I really liked it because maybe I'm not a talkative person, but I'm certainly a competitive one. And for example, for people like me, it will be a good practice to maintain this chip system, to motivate them to make contributions to class. And for example, this pressure when everyone is getting chips and you're just left behind motivates you to speak up and give your opinions.
So motivational. Yes, thank you. Anybody? Yes.
So for me, it was like an opposite experience from Anya, because as a former competitive athlete, I was like extra motivated to say something at the class. But interesting thing was the system itself broke my initial resistance, but later on, as the class goes on, you just you don't really care about the chips. You just want to contribute to the overall studying process, and yeah, that's how it was for me.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm already familiar with this assessing system because I had it in high school. So I like the chip system because everyone feel free to share their ideas, because there are neither bad nor good opinion. And as for me, I really feel that it helped me to overcome my shyness.
Yeah, you did it very well. You are doing it very well. Okay. And looks like Stepan, well,
yes, for example, I think students like me who are motivated to compete with other people, but at the same time who are not motivated to communicate during the learning process, may feel a desire to give some ideas to other students.
And basically, this is the most important advantage of such a system, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But obviously, you understand it's just one big game. And as a game, do you think you really like to play this game?
Yes, I think everybody in this world like play games and be better than other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Anything else to contribute?
Also, with these chips, you can track your progress during classes. For example, today I get 7 chips, tomorrow 10, and I feel proud of myself that I progressed somehow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, monitoring the process, and basically throughout the entire semester, right? Day
Yes.
in, day out, week in, week out. Mm-hmm. All right. Yes. So overall, the general impression seems to be that, okay, it is a useful system and it effectively motivates you to contribute something to the process of communication. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
And
Thank you.
I think
Yes.
that teachers and professors shouldn't be forgotten. And I would like to point out that it is a very useful system to teachers to count the number of oral answers of students and to simplify the assessment of students at the end of the year.
Yeah, good point. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's finish this part now. Thank you. So it looks like the students mentioned very many aspects, and these aspects are on the right here on the slide. And obviously, they pointed out such aspects of the system as the fact that it works as an incentive, it is really motivational, it also improves language fluency, adds competitive spirit, and it is not the last thing of importance in such a situation. Obviously, yes, it is a kind of a pressure that is exerted on the students, extra pressure, but this pressure is more of a positive sort. It is not actually something that really suppresses their individual contributions, because any answer goes, be it very good or not so very good perhaps, still freedom of expression reigns supreme. And the students have a chance to learn from each other, which is a very important thing. And this is a clear reflection of the overall constructivist approach to course design in our case. And gamification. It looks like a game, and it is a game essentially. And who doesn't like to play games? Everybody does. Obviously, you look at the number of your chips day in, day out, week in, week out, and it can serve as a kind of a tracking device. You see that, I need to contribute something else because my result is somewhat low. And teachers, as one of the students put it quite nicely, teachers should not be forgotten. And indeed, these results in terms of the chips earned by the students really help to do any kind of assessment in terms of the, let's say, the overall participation, level of participation of the students. But perhaps, and this is our second question, perhaps there is something which is not so good about the system. Let's listen to the students again. All right, and now it makes sense to talk about things that are not exactly that positive. Perhaps that same system can be viewed negatively by some students. Do you think that it is possible?
So,
I'm sorry.
may I start?
Yes, of
Anna?
course.
Mm-hmm.
No, Ola, you can speak.
So, in terms of our class, so we study at the moment the strategies of communication, and we are encouraged to actually communicate, speak up on our classes. And one obvious disadvantage is that for shy people, for example, it's not that easy to speak up. And this chip system may be somehow extra pressure for them. So they see that everybody around them like receive chips, but they don't, and they can't because of their like inner restriction within themselves. Not to, they just simply can't speak up, and maybe it somehow frustrates them a little bit.
So psychologically, it might be difficult for some, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Yes. Anna, you wanted to say something,
Yes,
right?
I also want to add something to Ola's opinion, because I also thought about it, and I think that it really can be very difficult for people with low self-esteem, because they may start to compare their results with the results of other students, and if their results are not very, good, they really can be frustrated, and this may work for them not as a motivation, but on the contrary, they won't be able to speak.
Right?
Yes, as a demotivation, because they can just, lose some desire to speak at all.
And has anybody lost any desire to speak at all so far?
I guess no, but I just think that there are people for whom it may work like that.
Theoretically, yes. Theoretically, there is some danger. Okay, yes.
But I have another point of view. Shyness is just an excuse, and with or without this chip system, they won't be able to participate in a class discussion. And what I wanted to say that there is a danger of speaking for the sake of speaking, because some students are in a hurry to say something, and they forgot about the level of English that they are expected to use.
And is there any remedy for this? How can this be helped? How can this be changed into something better?
So I think that we should encourage with the chip only those people who use the right language that, for example, we have to use.
Okay, I understand, but the right language, it's important to know what the right language is. Yeah, okay. Anyway, anybody else?
Also, sometimes maybe you want to contribute something, but you don't have the necessary experience or knowledge for that. So in this case, you don't get a chip, but even with great desire, but with no possibilities.
Oh yeah, okay. And you get frustrated too. All right. Yes. Sivan, how about you?
I have another point about the assessment. We have to be careful about the assessment using these chips, because the human factor play a crucial role. For example, a teacher can forget or, for example, give a chip for a not very correct answer, while a student who give a perfect answer will also receive just one chip. So two students who have given completely different answers will receive the same award.
Oh my God!
So
that's
we
getting
have to
very
be careful
complicated.
with this.
Yeah, I understand, but well, I'm one of those teachers, and basically I'm the teacher who's using this. So have I done that?
No, I think no.
But okay, if sometimes I lose control of the situation, all right, I can blunder. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? So it looks like at the same time, isn't it one of those things that prepares you for serious competition, for tough competition, also the competition in the workplace? Don't you think so?
Of course.
Yes, for sure. And I think it's important to point out that there are advantages that can be that arrive from these disadvantages. For example, like people who are shy with this chip system, I think can be easily like encouraged to speak with time, so how to overcome their fear of speaking. And as Yuri pointed out, this shyness can be excused. So in the outside world, nobody will be care about this.
Exactly. Yeah. And nobody is going to care much whether you are shy or an introvert or any such thing. So you should do this work. You should communicate. You should actually overcome all your frustrations or fears or whatever else. And that's it. And if you can't, go find another job. That's the way the world works. Okay. So it looks like, yes, nothing is perfect, but still, even the imperfections of the system can sometimes be turned into some solid strengths of the system. Should we actually agree on this?
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. It looks like we have invented a very good approach to doing things. All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for your participation in this conversation. Thanks. So this was a random group of students, and as you can see, they all have different levels of communicative competence, and they all say something about the disadvantages, the possible disadvantages of the system. That, okay, some students can be shy, and it can be a problem sometimes, and it happens so, not once, it happened so that their self-esteem suffered, like they begin to compare their results with somebody else's results, which actually is not the right thing to do. And there is a danger, a potential danger of talking for talking's sake, and sometimes they simply are lacking in things to say because their experiences are limited, and some students may have a wider and more interesting experiences to share. Yes, it is all very true, and the assessment process can be kind of questionable because answer quality varies. But the general opinion is that many of the so-called disadvantages may well become strengths of that same system. That's why when we are discussing this, it is, of course, not a major problem. It is not actually something that is the central issue in this course, the course of intercultural communication. But at the same time, in language studies at university, the most important thing, and we see it as the most important thing, is to create a platform for communication which actually works pretty intensively. It is not supposed to be just saying something from time to time, but it's supposed to be some kind of communication pattern which is very dense, which is packed with all sorts of input. And that's why any kind of system that encourages students to do that, encourages students to really do it on a competitive basis, perhaps works better. That's why we are going to continue working in this direction, and with all the books that we have created before, well, we have accumulated some experience, and I believe now is the time to turn this course into a solid textbook for students. That's why we probably can use this wonderful platform, the conference platform, for placing this information and asking any teacher, any university professor working elsewhere in the world to actually participate in this project too. And we will be very welcome if you are interested in this work, and if you ask questions, or if you actually are willing to really cooperate on any such project, this project being a textbook in intercultural communication practice. So thank you very much again. Hopefully it was not that long, and thank you everybody who listened to this, and goodbye. Let's meet again at some new conference platforms. Thank you.